Are you ready for a full day of crafting? It's Christy over at Crafty Christy's Creations, and today I've got something really fun for you. I have jumped on the Dollar Tree train and I'm going to show you how to make 5 different Valentine's Day projects using your cutting machine and Dollar Tree items. But before we get started with project number 1, make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe so you don't miss out on further projects. Without further ado, let's jump on into project number 1. Okay, so we're going to make a love door hanger using a heart-shaped chipboard sign from the Dollar Tree. So to start off, I'm going to go ahead and take that ribbon off and I'm going to set that aside to add it back on later. And this has just got some cardboard design on the front and I'm just going to peel that off. I will say this was hard to do. I'd recommend using some heat on that to see if that would make it easier. I ended up just using the back side and took a couple pieces off. And I'm using this Magenta acrylic paint that I got from the Dollar Tree. Had to do a couple coats of that, did a primer coat with white and then a couple more coats of pink to make it really stand out so it doesn't look so dark from that chipboard. And then using the Retro Love SVG file, I'm making some registration marks here, so one for each layer. So when I go to layer it up, it will sit nicely and be much easier to layer. And I'm just putting weeding boxes around each one. And I'm sorry, my video didn't actually work when I tried to show you how I layered that up there. So I went ahead and put that on the heart and then I'm tying the ribbon back up so it's ready to hang. So here is the completed project. Let me know what you think. You can see I've got some little mistakes there from the transfer tape, but overall it turned out well. How fun and easy was that? Now, let me show you what project number 2 looks like. My Valentine Has Paws picture frame from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start off by painting my picture frame with some Very Berry acrylic paint. First I started against the grain and then finished up with a couple of coats with the grain, which gives it that nice finished look. And I left the picture holder in place. It would probably be easier to take that out before you get started. And then I printed a picture of my dog Scout. I'm going to use that picture holder to trace with a pencil on my picture so then I can cut it out on that line. And then I'll get that placed in the holder and then we can move on to the SVG file. I'm using my Valentine Has Paws SVG file, which you can find over on my website. Using some transfer tape, applied that to the picture frame. And the last thing we have to do is put in the holder and we're done. Isn't that just adorable? Now let's jump into project number 3. Love Vase Valentine's Day centerpiece made with Dollar Tree products. So I started off with my heart SVG file. You can see I tried one on the other side. Because this is a tapered vase, they don't always work well. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut these to different heights for some dimension. And then I added the flower picks, ended up using some floral tape to again get some more dimension with those picks on there. And, this you can tinker with and add as much or as little as you would like. Again, I'm just adding more depth. So when I was all done, I decided I didn't like the look with all the stems, so I added some corks to the inside for a finished look. What do you think? I bet your dining table looks spectacular with that vase. Now let's jump into project number 4. This is a wooden 3-plank Valentine's Day sign using planks from the Dollar Tree and some twine. So I'm going to start off. I am using my Holiday Red Craft Smart acrylic paint and I've got a sponge brush here that I'm using and I'm painting with the grain. That way it always looks a lot smoother when you paint with the grain. So I'm going to go ahead and paint each one of these planks and I'm getting the edges as well. But I did go ahead and leave the back just the regular wood color since we're not going to see that. And I added a couple of coats of paint to these. And then once that's done, I went ahead and cut out the Be My Valentine's SVG file. And I cut that in white Oracal permanent vinyl. And I'm just lining them up. I'm using my mat to help me center these together. And I moved the design up a little bit. Those hearts were next to the Be Mine, and I went ahead and kind of repositioned everything so that it would fit nicely on these planks. So again, just centering them down there, and I've got this kind of see-through masking paper type of transfer vinyl that I'm using, and I like that for painted projects because then it doesn't leave any residue behind or peel up any paint from my painted projects. And then I've got this twine here. I think I picked this up at the Dollar Tree a while ago. It was in my craft stash, so I'm not quite sure where it's from. But I cut 16-inch long pieces, and I kind of doubled that. And then I'm just hot gluing those to the back. Again, I'm using my mat to kind of help me space things out to try to line those up nicely. And then at the top, I'm just going to loop those pieces together to hang. So what do you think? How is that for another oh so cute sign? But wait, we still have one more. So here is project number 5. Okay, so I'm starting off with my Apple Barrel matte white acrylic paint, and I'm just using that as a base coat on the canvas here. And then I've got my Oracal stencil vinyl using my Loads of Love SVG design, and I'm just laying that on the canvas. So I'm just kind of measuring it out from top to bottom. And because I left the canvas on the wood frame that's under it, it is a little bit more difficult to get this to stick on there because, it kind of dips in the middle. So I'm just taking my time applying my stencil, and then I'm going to use my little bone folder here to really get that pressed on. And I'm just cutting away that extra transfer papers because it's starting to get in the way. And now once I've got that on, then I'm going to go ahead and start applying my colors. So first I'm starting off with my Crafter's acrylic paint in turquoise, and I'm just applying that to the left side. I'm going to go ahead and give this a couple of coats. And then my next color is the Craft Smart purple acrylic paint. This one is getting kind of old. I ended up throwing it away after this, so I had some trouble, had to get rid of some chunks that were left in there from the paint drying. And then on the right side, I'm adding the Craft Essentials Twinkle Pink acrylic paint. Again, I gave that a couple of coats. I let it kind of dry a little bit, and then now I'm going to go ahead and peel off my stencil, and that will leave where the stencil was will be that lovely white paint. Now you can see here I've got some spots where the paint bled through, but we will take care of those here in a minute. So I'm just kind of taking my time to peel up all of the stencil pieces. I'm just using a little piercing tool that I got from the Dollar Tree. Again, other than the paint and some of these sponges, everything I'm using here, I'm using from the Dollar Tree. So there we go. Now I'm just hitting it with my heat gun to really set all of that paint. And then, like I said, we'll go ahead and do some touching up. So I'm pulling back out that white Apple Barrel matte acrylic paint, and I'm just got a really thin paintbrush to touch that up. So here is our completed project. Let me know what you think about this. I really enjoy the look of the painted versus adding some heat transfer vinyl on top of it. It just gives it a little bit of a different characteristic and has some dimension. Painted canvases are so much fun, and how easy was that to make? Love adding some extra fun decor to the house with these Valentine's Day projects. I hope you enjoyed watching all these projects, and I hope you make some for yourself. Let me know in the comments what kind of projects you're gonna make. Until next time, with love, Crafty Christy.